Margaret Brainard Hamilton, December 9, 1902, May 16, 1985, was an American film character actress best known for her portrayal of the Wicked Witch of the West, and her Kansas counterpart Almira Gulch, in Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer's film The Wizard of Oz, 1939. 1. A former school teacher, she worked as a character actress in films for 7 years before she was offered the role that defined her public image. In later years, Hamilton made frequent cameo appearances on television sitcoms and commercials. She also gained recognition for her work as an advocate of causes designed to benefit children and animals and retained a lifelong commitment to public education. Hamilton was born in Cleveland, the youngest of 4 children of Walter J. Hamilton and his wife, Mary Jane, née Adams, known by her nickname, Jennie. She attended Hathaway Brown School while the school was at 1945 East 93rd Street in Cleveland. Drawn to the theater at an early age, Hamilton made her amateur stage debut in 1923. Citation needed, Hamilton also practiced her craft doing children's theater while she was a Junior League of Cleveland member. Hamilton made her debut as a professional entertainer on December 9, 1929, in a program of heart-rending songs in the Charles S. Brooks Theater at the Playhouse in Cleveland. 2. She later moved to Painesville, Ohio. Citation needed, before she turned to acting exclusively, her parents insisted she attend Wheelock College in Boston, which she did, later becoming a kindergarten teacher. 3. Hamilton's career as a film actress was driven by the very qualities that placed her in stark contrast to the stereotypical Hollywood glamour girl. Her image was of a New England spinster, extremely pragmatic and impatient with all manner of tomfoolery. Hamilton's looks helped to bring steady work as a character actor. She made her screen debut in 1933 in another language. She went on to appear in These Three, 1936, Saratoga, You Only Live Once, When's Your Birthday? Nothing Sacred, All 1937, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, 1938, My Little Chickadee, with W. C. Fields, 1940, and The Sin of Harold Diddlebach, with Harold Lloyd, 1947. She strove to work as much as possible to support herself and her son. She never put herself under contract to any one studio and priced her services at $1,000, $17,800 with inflation for a week. 5. Hamilton co-starred opposite Buster Keaton and Richard Cromwell in a 1940s spoof of the long-running local melodrama The Drunkard, titled The Villain Still Pursued Her. Later in the decade, she was in a little-known film noir, titled Bungalow 13, 1948. In which she again co-starred opposite Cromwell. Her crisp voice with rapid but clear enunciation was another trademark. She appeared regularly in supporting roles in films until the early 1950s and sporadically thereafter. Opposite Bud Abbott and Lou Costello, she played a heavily made-up witch in Comin' Round the Mountain, where her character and Costello go toe-to-toe with voodoo dolls made of each other. She appeared, uncredited, in Joseph L. Mankiewicz's People Will Talk, 1951, as Sarah Pickett. In 1960, producer/director William Castle cast Hamilton as a housekeeper in his 13 Ghosts horror film, in which 12-year-old lead Charles Herbert's character taunts her about being a witch, including the final scene, in which she is holding a broom in her hand. In 1939, Hamilton played the role of the Wicked Witch of the West, opposite Judy Garland's Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz, creating, not only her most famous role, but also one of the screen's most memorable villains. Hamilton was cast after Gail Sondergaard, who was first considered for the role, albeit as a more glamorous witch with a musical scene, declined the role when the decision was made that the witch should appear ugly. 6. She suffered a second-degree burn on her face and a third-degree burn on her hand during a second take of her fiery exit from Munchkin Land, in which the trapdoor's drop was delayed to eliminate the brief glimpse of its scene in the final edit. Hamilton had to recuperate in a hospital and at home for 6 weeks after the accident before returning to the set to complete her work on the film, and refused to have anything further to do with fire for the rest of the filming. After she recuperated, she said, "I won't sue, because I know how this business works, and I would never work again. I will return to work on one condition: no more fireworks." Garland visited Hamilton while the latter recuperated at home looking after her son. 7. Studio executives cut some of Hamilton's more frightening scenes, worrying they would frighten children too much. Later in life, She would comment on the role of the witch in a lighthearted fashion. During one interview, she joked, "I was in need of money at the time, I had done about 6 pictures for MGM at the time, and my agent called. I said, 'Yes?' And he said, 'Maggie, they want you to play a part on The Wizard.' I said to myself, 'Oh, boy, The Wizard of Oz. That has been my favorite book since I was 4. And I asked him what part, and he said, 'The Witch,' and I said, 'The Witch?' And he said, 'What else?' 8. Hamilton's stand-in and stunt double for The Witch, Betty Danko, also suffered an on-set accident on February 11, 1939. Danko made the fiery entrance to Munchkinland, not Hamilton. She was severely burned during the Surrender Dorothy skywriting sequence at the Emerald City. Danko sat on a smoking pipe configured to look like the witch's broomstick. The pipe exploded on the 3rd take of the scene. She spent 11 days in the hospital and her legs were permanently scarred. The studio hired a new stunt double, Aline Goodwin, to finish the broomstick riding scene for Danko. 9. When asked about her experiences on the set of The Wizard of Oz, Hamilton said her biggest fear was that her monstrous film role would give children the wrong idea of who she really was. In reality, she cared deeply about children, frequently giving to charitable organizations. She often remarked about children coming up to her and asking her why she had been so mean to Dorothy. She appeared on an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in 1975 where she explained to children she was only playing a role and showed how putting on a costume transformed her into the witch. 10. She also made personal appearances, and Hamilton described the children's usual reaction to her portrayal of the witch. "Almost always they want me to laugh like the witch. And sometimes when I go to schools, if we're in an auditorium, I'll do it. And there's always a funny reaction, like ye gods, they wish they hadn't asked. They're scared. They're really scared for a second. Even adolescents. I guess for a minute they get the feeling they got when they watched the picture. They like to hear it but they don't like to hear it. And then they go, oh. The picture made a terrible impression of some kind on them, sometimes a ghastly impression, but most of them got over it, I guess, because when I talk like the witch, and when I laugh, there is a hesitation and then they clap. They're clapping at hearing the sound again." 11. Hamilton played 2 credited roles in the famous film, Almira Gulch and the Wicked Witch of the West. Hamilton also appears as an unidentified flying witch during the tornado scene, which may have been the Wicked Witch of the West or her sister, the Wicked Witch of the East. If the latter case, this would be Hamilton's 3rd but uncredited role. Only co-star Frank Morgan played more roles in the film, 5 roles. Hamilton and Morgan never share any scenes in Oz. However, in By Your Leave, 1934, she plays his housekeeper, and in Saratoga, 1937, she has a colloquy with Morgan regarding a cosmetic product he invented, with side glances and eye rolls by Morgan as to its effect on her beauty. Hamilton's line from The Wizard of Oz, "I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too." Was ranked 99th in the 2005 American Film Institute survey of the most memorable movie quotes. Her son, interviewed for the 2005 DVD edition of the film, commented that Hamilton enjoyed the line so much, she sometimes used it in her real life. A few months after filming Oz, she appeared in Babes in Arms, 1939, as Jeff Steele's aunt, Martha, a society do-gooder who made it her goal to send the gang of child actors, led by Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland, to a work farm. In 1945, she played the domineering sister of Oz co-star Jack Haley in George White's Scandals, comically trying to prevent him from marrying actress Joan Davis, even going so far as to throw a hatchet at her. Hamilton and Ray Bolger were cast members in the 1966 fantasy film The Daydreamer, a collection of stories by Hans Christian Andersen. A few years later, they were reunited on Broadway for the short-lived musical Come